So email marketing, right? I talked a bit about this before, just to round that portion of the discussion out. I think it's valuable, but the data is still a central component. So if you decide to do email marketing and you don't use it in the second touch scenario I spoke about, that basically means you're going to have to make sure that you've got some way of knowing that the market that you're going to send this email to is basically the right customers. Now, most email marketing companies are not going to give you that data. What they're going to say is, you want to talk about roofing, we've got people you can talk to, you do the email, send us the creative, we'll send out the email on your behalf. Why? Because if they gave you the email addresses, you would now have the information to go and do it yourself, and they lose money. So in that case, they come back and say, hey, this was a great program, you had a 30% open rate. That means nothing. Nothing, unless you have a way of categorizing and bringing that information back. So if you do decide to do this, the data is still relevant, okay? It's very important, but you want to make sure when you bring those people back to a landing page, and sometimes that's the easiest thing to do, just put up a separate landing page where it basically ties back and you know that they came from a particular event and it just asks for a piece of information. That's the best way to do it. And by the way, here's another important thing. If you do a direct mail program or an email program where you conduct this type of thing, email particularly, when the people come back, you own that data. You own that data. You don't have to go back and buy it again because they're filling that information out on your site. Another reason why you want to make sure you capture as much of that information as you possibly can. Don't pay for it again if you don't need to. Opt-in data and opt-out conditions. If you do an email marketing campaign to generate leads, you need to make sure that you've got some type of opt-out procedure, because from a spam compliance, you want to make sure that you want to make sure if your email marketing company doesn't tell you about this, this is probably a point that you have something to be concerned about, because they should be making sure you're email compliant. Because if they don't make sure you're email compliant, there's really no way for you to make sure these emails even went out. Okay? Because they have to provide opt-out. They have to provide that. My point before, it's a low-cost marketing effort. It is low cost. There's no question about it. When you start considering what's involved in email marketing versus print marketing, it's definitely a lower-cost alternative. The problem is, again, you don't necessarily know who you're going to. You don't own the list. You can't really control things. As a second touch offer, very, very valuable. And I want to make sure, especially if there's any email marketing companies here, I'm not criticizing this. I'm just saying these are the things you need to be aware of. And I can't emphasize again, right? The great second touch sales process, that's the way we used it, and we were very effective with this. Very effective with this.